All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of JV Podcast. My name is Jakub Vaniš, and I'll be taking you through something that is pretty close to my heart. It's again from the technology world, and it's about a product that I really adore, something I've been using for quite a while. So without further ado, you've probably seen it also in the title of this episode. It's gonna be about my Tesla. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to drive a Tesla as a basically daily driver for the past 3 years now. I have a Tesla Model 3 from early 2021. It's a model that was made in United States. So yeah, it comes with certain caveats, but I will kind of structure this episode as a review, into the things that I love about the car. And yeah, since I'm a big fan of Tesla and of electric cars in general, yeah, no surprise there that there's going to be a lot of things that I love. Then there are a few things that are kind of myth, or I have both love and hate relationship about, and then just a few things that I dislike. I wouldn't say really hate, but a few things that I would really appreciate if Tesla, updated in the future or made sure that they are not there anymore. And I think we'll be closing this episode with kind of recommendations who I believe this car is for and what can Tesla do, with this car in the future. So that being said, let's open up with the things that I love about the car. So first things first, the driving. The driving is so much fun. If you're into kart racing, this is kind of like that, because you have this instant feedback from the gas pedal. It is really fun to drive around this, taking the corners, driving fast or even slow. I think the driving aspect of this kind of a small car is really, really a lot of fun. A lot of people are really into like Volkswagen Golf because it's fun to drive. The same with the BMW, the 3 Series. That's also the one that people really adore if they want to have fun. You can have a lot of fun with Model 3. I don't think that you can have that much fun with like a Model Y, which is more of a kind of family SUV type of car. But with Model 3, it really feels super fun to be driving around, and I it's this kind of a thing that instantly puts a smile on your face when you put down that gas pedal. And that's the second thing that I really adore about this car is the instant acceleration, that instant torque. It's like a roller coaster. Like, you literally are under 4 seconds in 0 to 100 kilometers per hour or 0 to 60 miles per hour. And yeah, you're unstoppable on highway. I think for the safety aspect, it's actually better, for most of the people to have this ability. You don't have to use it all the time, but it's good to know that it is there in case, I don't know, somebody tries to do something fishy on the highway. It's always better to have it there. And especially as a party trick, if there are people in your car that never had sat in Tesla, they will, they will make them smile. They will have a burst of adrenaline in their veins if you just floor it for them. It's really incredible. I'll be putting some video up also about how fast it can go. But drive responsibly, but the acceleration and the driving aspect is super, super fun. The third thing that I really like about the car is the Autopilot. So Tesla has multiple models of kind of auto steering or automatic steering, and the free one, the one that it comes pre-installed with, basically, is called Autopilot. And it's kind of basic. It keeps you in the lanes, it keeps the distance between you and the other cars, but the things that it cannot do is, for example, turn on a intersection or something like that, on a crossroads. It cannot turn for you. You have to do that. You can also buy so-called FSD, which stands for full self-driving. And that one actually, basically the way it works is you put on your navigation, on your map, where you want to go, and it will drive you there. Like, no matter the intersections, no matter if it's highway or city or what's going on, it should go there and park there. And yeah, it's kind of amazing. I think, they have still a lot of bugs to smash until it is widely usable. But it's kind of in beta in the United States, and the problem is we're in Europe, and this function costs 200,000 Czech crowns, so that's like almost 10k, I think, US dollars. So that is something that I wouldn't buy for sure right now, because I think it's really years away for Europe because of all the regulations that we have by European Union and different countries and different ways that the rules are applied in different countries in European Union. It's probably gonna take another, I don't know, 3 to 5 years or something like that. But it's good to know that car from 2021 is able to do it. It has all the hardware, all the cameras, all the chips in order to be able to actually drive itself point to point. But currently with Autopilot, it's a lot of fun. Like, I really trust it a lot. In the beginning it was doing something called ghost braking, so sometimes it would brake a little bit on a highway or something like that. I don't know from what, maybe from a shadow or something like this that it saw on the road in front of it on the cameras, but it doesn't do it anymore, and that's thanks to the updates that are coming in. And I, for example, I'm driving, my daily commute is about 40 to 50 kilometers one way, so almost 100 kilometers every single day, and most of it is on a highway. So for me this is ideal, because I was driving, and I've been constantly driving for these 3 years for 95% of the time on Autopilot, and you are still having your eyes on the road, but it allows you to kind of relax a little bit more and maybe focus on podcast or audiobooks or music or something like that, and relax a little bit, because of course driving 100 kilometers a day in Prague or around Prague, that can be up to 3 hours a day, right? Of course, if you're lucky, it can be 1 hour if you're not driving in a rush hour, but it can take up to 3 hours in the end. So the other thing that I really love is the minimalist interior. The overall dashboard is super clean. There's really nothing inside. A lot of the people have a love and hate relationship with this, because there are certain aspects of it that they really dislike, that it feels really bare bones and kind of cheap in that way, but I really like it because it's not really cluttered at all. The only thing that you have there is your steering wheel, your stalks, and a massive screen that is really fun to use. And with that massive screen comes also a great infotainment. Unlike almost any other legacy auto manufacturer like Volkswagen and BMW, Audi, etc., this is coming pre-installed with Tesla's own operating software, let's say, and it has games. One of my favorite there is Polytopia. I really try to play this one at least once in a few weeks or something like that. It's like a strategy game, and I really like it a lot. It has YouTube pre-installed, it has Netflix, Disney Plus, it has Apple Podcasts, it has Apple Music and Spotify. So all of the things that you can do while driving, of course not playing games, but for example listening to audiobooks or Spotify is great, or podcasts. I'm doing it constantly during my daily commute. But when you're charging or waiting for somebody, or waiting let's say there's an accident on the road, you can actually pull a game like Polytopia, like I said, and have a lot of fun. Alright, so that has been the infotainment and the overall dashboard and minimalist design that I really adore. But with that infotainment comes also one fact that is something that I've never seen with other car manufacturers, and that is the over-the-air updates. And they are so frequent, and sometimes they are so meaningful. I think they do come every 2 weeks or so, and let's say from time to time, once per 2 or 3 months, comes a bigger, more significant update. So in those 3 years, my car actually is behaving differently than in the beginning, and in a very positive way. They keep adding, new features. They don't lock them, for just the new cars or something like that. You still get those new features. So for example, my car now, gives a chime, like a ping, when there is a green light. ahead of you. You can be like in a third or fifth row waiting for the green light to come. I don't know, you're maybe not paying attention and it just chimes. And that's just one thing that they added, which is a quality of life improvement. And these updates are super fast. You just park your car and it will remind you through an app that that update is coming. So something that I really like is that your car is constantly being updated and becoming better and better. So when talking about the infotainment over-the-air updates, the next thing that I need to mention is the actual app. And the app is actually very powerful. I have the iOS version and it's really quite flawless. Also comes with a lot of updates very often, but it's, again, very minimalist, but there's a lot of things that you can check there. You can check your battery, you have the car controls like opening your hood and the doors, or lighting up, or you can even speak through the app and your car will make the noises. You can control the climate, you can schedule pre-charging or preheating, you can order a service. It's really pretty great. So that app also works as your key. So I've never actually used a key. You get a card, like it looks like a credit card, but I used it only once when I got the car. But then you connect it to your phone and this is all you need. As long as you're quite close to the car, I think within the range of like 5 meters or something, the car will recognize it and open itself up for you. And this is all you need to do. Like your phone just needs to be in the car for you to be able to drive. So that's really convenient for me. The other thing that I wanted to mention is I never had any service done on this car, and that never happened to any of my previous cars. Usually, with my other car, for example, I'm driving Volkswagen Passat. I have it for quite a while. It's our family car. It's the variant models on the Combi, quite a big one, and I love that car as well. But even though, like, my car mechanic is a great guy and gives me great price, probably like 50% of what I would normally be charged, I still pay, let's say, between 20 and 30,000 Czech crowns a year, which is like 1K US dollars, which is not too much, but it is some service fee. You don't have those with Tesla. So the only thing that you need to basically take care of is adding the washing fluid, for the wipers for the windshield, right? So that's the only thing that kind of consists of the service needed. Because the other things, this doesn't have any oil or any filters that you would have to replace. So okay, that's a thing that you would normally do maybe twice per year or once per year in a normal car. The other thing is that the brakes, because of the regen braking, you almost don't touch the brakes. Like, you become very much aware of how you're driving just with one pedal, just with your gas, because as soon as you pull away from that pedal, the car will start braking ever so slightly, but it adds back the energy to the battery. So that's called the regen braking, and I really love that function. But what it also does is, apart from charging your battery while you're driving, it saves your brakes. So you don't need to change them that often. So in the end, the typical maintenance, the typical service fees, etc., that you would have in 3 years, for my case, it's zero. I never needed to come to a maintenance service. So that's incredible. I'm saving a lot of money on that. The next thing is the Superchargers. So the Superchargers network is really super wide and convenient in Europe and in US. In Czech Republic, not so much. There are not that many of them, but I think they are building new ones. But it is great because these Superchargers there's plenty of them. They're always very fast. So in like 20 to 30 minutes, you can get up to like 80% of your battery back. And what I really like about those is that you just come in there and plug in, and that's it. And the Tesla car actually knows how many cars are already there, so it can navigate you to the one that has, you know, free stalls, etc. So it's super, super convenient. And because of the connection of your car to your app and to your, let's say, personal account, it's all connected also to your credit card. So you don't need to touch anything. You just come there, plug in, and then Tesla will charge you, and you see immediately how much it's gonna cost you or how much it is costing you. If you compare this to any other provider that we have in Czech Republic, like Chess, etc., it's so cumbersome. It's really so bad, because you need to have a deal with them that you need to sign. It takes months. They will give you like a chip that you need to use. Some have also an app, and then they charge you once every 3 months, once every quarter. Retrospectively, it just doesn't make sense, and it's so convoluted, and these chargers are also so slow, so you can stay there with your car for 3 hours and get nowhere, whereas with the Superchargers it really is crazy fast and convenient. I really like that network. But now when talking about this, like 99% of the time I'm actually charging at home, and this is just the best, because it's so much cheaper than the Supercharger, but also than gas car. Like for my gas car, when I was using it as a daily driver to commute these 100 kilometers every day, I've been paying for gas at around 8,000 crowns per month, which is like, what is it, $300, let's say. But I'm paying around 1,500 right now in electricity. So it's significantly cheaper. It's like 1/5 of the price. So not only that you don't have any maintenance fees, you also save up quite a lot of money on charging, especially if you're charging at home. And that charging at home is actually pretty convenient. So if you just plug it into the normal network, which you can do, that's absolutely fine. I've been doing it for the first couple of months. You will charge at a speed of about 24 kilometers per hour, which is not that much, but for a daily commute, you know, overnight charging, it's absolutely fine. You can live like that. It's just a little bit slow, but it's fine if you have where to park and where to charge it. But if you have Teslas on, you know, charger at home, and that's actually not that costly. It cost me 10,000 crowns, so about $400. That will charge it significantly faster. For my case, it was 80 kilometers, or it is 80 kilometers per hour. And with my daily commute, I actually need to do it like twice per week, and that's it. So it's super convenient. You just plug it overnight. You can set up in the app how much you want to, you know, charge. It's recommended that you charge up to like 80% every day, or when you need to charge, just to save battery so you don't stretch it too much. But every once in a while, every, let's say, 10 charger cycles, you should charge to 100. The car should just not sit on 100% for a long period of time. Like when you charge to 100, you should probably take it for a ride very soon, and that's it. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to discuss is heating. Now we are in the midst of winter. It's actually quite warm outside, but we also had like minus 20 degrees quite recently. So heating is something that is really, really super cool, because I always need to, for my other car, I always need to come out and dedicate like 20 minutes to clean the car and prepare everything. With this car, all I need to do is open the app, or even I don't need to open it. I can just schedule when it should be preheated, and you just, you know, tap it, and within 5 minutes, all snow will melt away from the windows and from the car. And it's nice and cozy and warm inside. So yeah, that is absolutely bonkers. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is, you know, the car has so-called dog mode and camp mode, and what it does is basically in the winter or in the summer when it's too hot, you can set the temperature inside, and the car will seem that it's turned off because it will not make any noises, but basically the air conditioning will still go on. So if you need to leave your kid or a pet in the car, you can turn on the dog mode, and on that large screen it will just say, I have a very comfortable temperature in here. The car is in a dog mode. Yeah, so that the people that are basically going around your car, they will they will see just on the display that everything is fine. The temperature is very cozy. So yeah, that's very nice. And the camp mode is something similar. That's when you wanna kind of sleep over in your car. And again, you can just maintain your temperature, and it will not drain your battery even overnight. Not that much. I think it will probably take like 10% of your battery. But yeah, that's totally worth it if, outside it's like 5 degrees and you can have a cozy, 18 or 20 degrees inside. And with that glass roof, you actually can enjoy some beautiful views of the night sky. So that's super nice as well. The other aspect that I really like about my car and about Tesla in general is that unlike other manufacturers, all cars come with the same setup. You don't have to pay any extra payments for more premium materials and extra features like heated seats, etc. All comes with the one setup, and all of that is kind of the top-notch setup, the best they have. And that is lovely. And it's also great for them to manufacture these cars because they don't have to distinguish and make 1,000 different variants based on people's orderings. But for us as customers, this is absolutely great because you pay for one car that is actually not that expensive. You can compare the price to something like Octavia or Skoda Octavia or even that Volkswagen Passat is probably much more expensive than this car. But yeah, it's very nice that this option is there. The car is also constantly online, so you get the live updates of the navigation, also on anything that's going on basically around you. So it has a SIM card in it, and no matter where you are on any continent, it will constantly connect. You don't need to pay any extra charges for roaming fees or anything like that. And last two things that I really love about the car that I wanted to touch on is safety. I think this is one of the safest cars. I think the Tesla Model Y is even safer, but the car, because of the heavy battery on the bottom of it, it will not roll over. That is already one aspect that is making safety better. But because of all of the cameras that it has, even if you're not driving on Autopilot or on this FSD, full self-driving, it will prevent collision. It is constantly scanning the road, and if there is something fishy on the road or a biker there or something like that, it will make sure that even if you're not paying attention, that nothing happens to you nor the biker. So the car is extremely safe, and I just for that aspect, I'm glad that I invested in it, basically. And the very last thing that I love about this car, and that's kind of the childish aspect of the car that's probably coming from Elon, designing a lot of these things, are all the fun things that this car has. Okay, I already discussed the YouTube and the games and Netflix, podcasts, etc. But it also comes with a light show, and they are updating that light show every year with new music and new effects. That's super cool for Christmas or New Year's Eve or 4th of July or something like that. It's really fun to blast that car, and kids love it, of course. The other thing is, it has, for example, a romance section where you can put kind of like a fireplace in a car, and cozy music, and I don't know, the seats can make fart noises if you set them up like this. So these things are a lot of fun to have with the car, and I that's probably the kid in me talking right now, but I am glad that this car has so much fun. It's not that serious like a lot of car manufacturers want their cars to be. This one is it's like a toy that is also a great vehicle that drives you around very safely. Okay, so now to talk about some things that are kind of myth. Like I said, love and hate relationship. There are some aspects that I love about it, but also hate about it. So the thing number one that I wanted to discuss in this section is the battery. The battery is, I think it's quite great. In those 3 years, it didn't deteriorate almost at all, maybe by 2% or something like that. Like, it's almost unnoticeable, and that is something that most of the people are really afraid. Oh my god, I will buy a battery powered car, an electric car, and I will be able to drive only half the mileage within a few years, because it's probably gonna behave just like my cell phone. No, it does not. It actually is really powerful. My battery in real world can drive me around 500 kilometers per full charge in summer. And in winter, I think it's down by around 20%. Depends how cold it is. If it's really cold, it can probably be 25% or something like that. So in winter, I'm counting around 400 kilometers. I have the long range version, so a little bit more pricey, with a bigger battery, 75 kilowatt hours battery. But so what I like about it is the fact that you can charge it quite fast, etc. But what I dislike is that it's still something that you need to kind of think about, and there can be a battery anxiety and range anxiety, right? When you're on a road trip, if you're gonna make it to that next place, if you need to drive a little bit slower than you would normally do just to save some range. So that aspect is constantly there, though. For my daily driver, for that commute, of this 100 kilometers, you don't ever face this. But for a longer, road trip, especially somewhere where you've never been before, and you don't know, if they have superchargers or if you're gonna be able to charge at their hotel or something like that, it can be a little bit anxious, I would say. The other thing is the glass roof. So the glass roof is really beautiful and remarkable. On the other hand, in summer, in the heat of summer, under a clear sun, it can get a bit warm underneath it. Of course, it has some UV protection and it's a little bit shaded, etc. But still, it's not like a normal car with a normal roof. Here you will feel a little bit of a heat right below it during really super hot summer days. I don't know how this can be actually improved, probably with better air conditioning that would just go right under the roof or something like that. But the design is really flawless, and it's super nice to be able to have so much light in the car, and especially from the second row, it's beautiful to be able to take in the scenery. But like I said, it can get a little bit hot. And now, when talking about hot stuff, it's also the seats that have kind of this issue. So of course they come preheated for the winter, which is super nice, and the same with the steering wheel, super nice to have this option. But during summer, I have the dark option. They can get quite hot. It's kind of an imitation of leather. They call it a vegan leather, but it's not leather. It's made out of cacti. But those seats, if it's like 36 degrees Celsius outside, and because of this glass roof, they can get quite hot when you get into that car. Even though, of course, you can precondition the car to be way colder, but still these seats are black and you will feel it. The other aspect that I love and hate is the frameless doors. They look beautiful. They are really stunning. And they kind of save on the weight of the car because, it just doesn't have a frame, right? It's just a window. But in order to open that door, they need to slide a little bit down. And there are two aspects about it that I don't like that much. One is, if you have somebody that has never sit in the Tesla before, they don't know how to get out usually because it doesn't have the normal door handles. There is a button, they need to touch it. But sometimes they mistake that button for something that is kind of like emergency handle. And that emergency handle should kind of push the door outside even without rolling the window down. And that can basically shatter the window. It's quite dangerous. So that happened to me multiple times, unfortunately. And thanks God, nothing ever happened to the car, nor to the people in that car or anything like that. But it's a little bit stressful to have that there. And the other aspect is during the types of winter that we had this year, where it's snowing one day and then overnight it starts to rain a little bit, so it starts to melt, and then again a huge blizzard comes and it starts to freeze like crazy, so it's suddenly, I don't know, -10. Where what can happen is your car is just one piece of ice, right? And if you forget to preheat the car, normally the snow would melt within like 5 minutes or something like that. But if it's really just one piece of ice, I would recommend to have it on for like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, just to make sure. Because for what happened to me, for example, I forgot about this and I really needed to drive somewhere fast. The doors will not open simply because that window will not roll down, because it's just one piece of ice. It's just connected, like glued together to the rest of the car. So that was a little bit scary. I was like, okay, how do I get to the car? But then of course you realize with your app you can preheat it and it was fine. It melted away eventually. But yeah, that's something that you constantly need to have in mind. And last but not least, there is one last thing that is kind of mid for me. Like I said, love and hate category. That's the Sentry mode. So the Sentry mode is basically a mode where your car uses all of those sensors and all of those cameras to make sure that it is constantly protected. And that's such a great thing to have, such a valuable thing, especially because there's a lot of people that just hate Tesla, or I don't know, they are envious to you, so they want to key your car or something like that. So what this car does is you can park it anywhere and it's constantly on, and if somebody keys your car, well, you will have it recorded from multiple angles, and also your app will tell you, oh, this is what happened right now, and you can live view what's happening to that car. So you have evidence for police, etc. So this is pretty great. The thing that I don't like about Sentry mode is if you want to have it on, so for example, I don't have it on when I'm at work or at home or somewhere where the car is safe, because it really drains battery like crazy. Normally overnight, I think you lose around 1%, maybe 2% of the battery maximum. So you can have your car sitting somewhere for a month and not even lose like half of your battery, which is really great. Probably even less. I think maybe it's like 1% that you lose really every night. But with this on, with the Sentry mode, it's probably like 10-15% every night. So, for example, when we were going on a longer vacation and my car has been sitting at the airport for like a week or two, I needed to turn it off. And you can turn it off via your app remotely, which is great, even from Thailand, for example. But I needed to turn it off because I was afraid that when we come back, the car would be totally drained and I wouldn't be able to drive home. So that's the last thing from this category that I wanted to discuss. And the things that I kind of dislike the most, there are just 3 things that I wanted to mention. One is the panel gaps and some interior issues. So my car comes from the US factory, and that one is kind of known for having some manufacturing issues and quality issues. Nowadays they also make them in Berlin or nearby Berlin, and with Germans I think the quality is much higher. Even the Chinese cars are probably higher, but with my car there is like 1 or 2 panel gaps that are a little bit wider than they should be, and in interior there are a little bit of a few kind of quality issues, but nothing too major. Like it's not distracting or anything like that. But I would I be glad that if it wasn't there? Yeah, of course. It is something that is in the back of my mind. It's still a car that you pay some money for. The next thing that I dislike about the car is because it's an electric engine, it's super quiet. And because of that, you don't have any kind of ambient noise of the engine. You really hear a lot of road noise from the tires and wind noise when you're driving on a highway. So especially if you get like over 140 kilometers per hour, it is something quite noticeable. Something that you don't really notice in the other cars or in the gas cars, to be honest. And last but not least, of course, the last aspect that I kind of dislike about the car is the suspension. I think the suspension is quite stiff, and it's something that coming from a Passat, which is kind of like a ship, it really kind of waves when it goes through any inconsistencies in the road. In this car, because it's a little bit more sporty and smaller, and it just has quite a bit more stiff suspension, and you can feel every hole in the road. And that's a problem with Czech Republic. Our roads suck. They are really terrible. I don't know if it's because of the weather or because we don't know how to repair those roads properly, but there are so many holes, potholes, etc. It's just something that you kind of constantly feel in this car. It's not that bad that it would be super distracting, but especially if you're driving some people around and you want to show them the car off, and yeah, like this is something that is constantly in the back of my head, like do they also feel the potholes like me, or they are just focused on the driving experience, on the acceleration, etc. So that's a little bit of a pity. Like I said, these three things: the panel gaps and the quality issues, the road noise and the wind noise, and the stiff suspension. Now, that being said, there is, let's say, a lot of positive news coming from the newer update of this Model 3. They just launched a new version of this Model 3 in Europe by the end of 2023 and in the US just right now at the beginning of 2024. And it's called Model 3 Highland. And it has a nicer, more modern design, but it's actually tackling quite a lot of the issues that I had with my car, or that I'm kind of having with my car. So one thing that I mentioned was, for example, those heated seats that, because of the kind of leathery aspect, even though if it's a vegan leather, they can get very hot in the summer temperatures. Now they have ventilated seats, all of the models, which is super nice. It's like air conditioning to your butt. so that's very nice. Now, the other thing is the road noise and wind noise. So Tesla made a lot of adjustments. So they reduced the road noise and wind noise significantly. Now you have doubled glass. I have them in the front, let's say, but now you have it everywhere. And also, not only that, I think they used materials to reduce the road noise by significant amount of percent. I'm not sure how much exactly, but every reviewer has been saying that it's a big difference. And I was fortunate enough to drive this car, and it's day and night. It's much better, of course. And the same goes also for the stiff suspension. Now the suspension is so much softer and so much better for better suited for the Czech roads with those potholes. So, most of the things that I kind of disliked are now tackled by the newest model, by the Model 3 Highland. So that's great to hear, and kudos to Tesla for listening to their customers and making sure that they can constantly improve, and they made a great car again. Though will I be upgrading? No, I have my car for 3 years. I'm not the type of guy that would just get rid of the car because there's a nicer, newer thing around the corner. But it's good to know that they are listening to their customers, and when I eventually will buy another Tesla, and my next car will again be a Tesla, it's good to know that it's probably gonna be even much better than my car that I already love right now. Now, so who is this car for? Well, I think I'm a real prototype of a person that is a great, receiver and customer for such a car. Because I have a house right outside of Prague. I need a daily commute of about 80 to 100 kilometers per day. On my house, I can eventually also install like solar panels on the roof, so I can save up on the energy prices as well. And I also have a second large family car, which is a gas car, in case we need to drive together as a family somewhere far away. Like we Czechs, say often about Croatia, for example, which is like 1,000 kilometers away from here. So that takes away all the hustle from that road trip. But I'm also a tech enthusiast, right? So that helps a lot, because I am glad. And I'm enjoying, learning the new things, learning the new controls. And I can imagine that somebody who is in their 60s and this is their first, electric car will likely maybe not enjoy it that much, because they were used to drive car in one way, and now you ask them to do something completely different. So I think, for that type of guy that has a house, especially if you have a house and if you have a daily commute, and especially if you have also a second car for the family, which is a gas car, go for it. Like, you would love this. The car is really not that expensive. It's quite comparable to, like I said, the Skoda Octavia or Superb or something like that. And you will love this. It's really so much fun, and it definitely improved the quality of my life significantly. Who is this car not for? I think for the people that are living in the city right now, especially in like these clustered, houses, house estates, we say paneláky in Czech Republic. Yeah, that's not great because you don't have a place where to charge it. There's also a lot of people that are probably envious of your car, so they might key your car simply, because these type of things happen. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it for them. And also, if you don't have like a second car as a second option, just in case you really need to drive somewhere super remote, where there are not that many superchargers or something like this. But otherwise, for most of the people, I think this is a great car. And yeah, like I said, one of the top products that I ever owned. I am a huge fan. I actually have a big smile over my face whenever I need to drive that car, and that is something to behold, because daily commute is not fun usually, right? Like, if you need to drive these 100 kilometers during rush hour, it can get up to 3 hours every day. And it's great that this car can take a lot of that pain away, and I'm tremendously happy, and I'm really appreciative of this. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me in comments or send me a private message. I can also give you a ride, of course, if you'd like to. But yeah, I've been very happy with this car, and I can recommend it to almost everybody, like I said, apart from the people that are really living in the city center in those compound house estates. So yeah, that's it. That's been the second episode of JV Talks. We've been talking about Tesla Model 3 that I've been driving every day for the past 3 years. And as you can hear from my voice, I am very enthusiastic about this car and about the company, even though Elon Musk is somebody who is getting crazier and crazier day by day, unfortunately. But yeah, that's life. Anyways, thanks a lot for tuning in. This has been Jakub Vaniš and the second episode of JV Talks podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. We've been talking about Tesla Model 3. Next time, I'm likely gonna review Dune Part 2. One of my favorite movies was Dune Part 1, and I love the books as well. I love this universe, so I'm gonna see it next weekend, and likely I will also record a little review. So come back for that one next weekend or after the next weekend. So once again, thanks a lot for following and for listening in for what I have to say about these life experiences of mine. As you can see, it's quite therapeutic, quite meditative for me. I really enjoy it tremendously, and I'm glad that some of you maybe do as well. So keep asking your questions in the comments or coming back to me. And yeah, thanks a lot for everything, and cheers!